Week 5 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to pick up this week. The first guy, Geraldo Perdomo of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Perdomo, one of the better pickups this week on the wire. On the season, 2 home runs, 16 RBIs, a stolen base, 14 runs scored, 390 batting average, and a 463 on base. So right now he's tearing it up, is Perdomo. But the only thing is here with him, he's not playing every day for this Arizona Diamondback team. Still out there in 74% of fantasy leagues, but when he's getting an opportunity, he's hitting the ball at a great rate. I don't think it's going to keep up, obviously, especially hitting at 390 on the season, where last season he only hit 195, but right now, well, he's hitting the baseball great, and he qualifies at short and third base. He's a guy to go out there and get, and hopefully gets more playing time, is the lefty batters, Perdomo. April 24th versus the Royals, 2 for 4 with an RBI. April 25th versus the Royals, 1 for 3. April 26th, he sat out. April 28th at the Rockies, 1 for 2 with a run. April 29th at the Rockies, a huge game. 3 for 5, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. And April 30th at the Rockies, 0 for 1. So it looks like right now he's only playing 3 or 4 times a week here is Perdomo. But I think he's going to get in this lineup a little bit more. With the struggles with Jake McCarthy early in the season, they sent them down. Corbin Carroll, he's been struggling as well. Obviously, I know those guys are outfielders, but Perdomo's going to find a way, I believe, in this lineup. And right now, well, he's tearing it up, even though it's only a small sample size of at-bats here. He's a guy to go out there and get this week. The next guy I look to get on the wire this week is Ji-Hwan Bae of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Bae, right now, he's off to a good start so far for this Pirate team. After last season having a cup of coffee with them in 33 at-bats on the year, so far for Bae, 17 runs scored, 80 at-bats on the year, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, already 11 stolen bases, a 250 average, and a 305 on base. So right now, stolen bases is obviously his specialty, and a guy that can help you in that category. And also, he don't strike out a lot as well, so he puts the ball in play and makes things happen here is Bae. So right now, available still in tons of fantasy leagues at 58%. But like I said, the specialties is run scored and stolen bases, and if you need that category, it's a time to go out there and get him. April 25th versus the Dodgers, 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 stolen bases. April 26th versus the Dodgers, 3 for 4 in that one, 2 runs, an RBI, 3 stolen bases. April 27th and 8th, he sat out. April 29th at the Nationals, 1 for 5 with a run. And April 30th at the Nationals, 1 for 4 with a stolen base. So right now in the last week here alone, he's got 6 stolen bases, is Bae. And right now, if you need stolen bases, like I said, runs scored, and the guy can help you at second base and outfield with good versatility, this would be a time to go out there and get him this week. I don't think he's going to be an option on the long term, is Bae, but right now, well, he's contributing. It's a time to go out there and get him. The next guy's Jake Burger of the Chicago White Sox. So Burger's showing some power in the early going on the season. On the year, 7 home runs, 14 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a 246 average, and a 343 on base. So right now, Burger's still out there in 90% of fantasy leagues, and he's really helping out the Chicago White Sox team, a team that's been in a tailspin, even though they had a great comeback in yesterday's ball game and finally snapped that bad losing streak at 10 games, I believe it was. April 25th at the Jays, 1 for 3. April 26th at the Jays, 0 for 3. April 27th versus Tampa Bay, 2 for 3, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. April 28th versus Tampa, 2 for 4 with a homer. April 29th versus Tampa, 0 for 3 with a run. And April 30th versus Tampa, 1 for 5 with a run and an RBI. So right now, Burger getting an everyday opportunity, but obviously with Yoan Makoto out, that's why he's getting a chance. But rumors are if Makoto comes back, he's going to get the job. But now with a disc issue in his back here, we don't know how much longer Makoto will be out. So right now, while Berg is hitting the baseball pretty well and showing solid pop in the early going of the season, if you need some power and RBIs, Berg is a decent pickup this week here. And a guy to get on the wire, available in 90% of fantasy leagues. Next guy I look to get this week's Jack Swinsinski of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Pirates this week in the pitching and the hitting have a lot of solid guys to pick up off the waiver wire. And so far in the early going for Swinsinski, 6 home runs, 18 RBIs, 10 runs scored, 5 stolen bases, a 297 average, and a 413 on base. So last season he had 19 home runs, 38 RBIs, but he only hit 202 with a 298 on base. But the last few weeks here, he's been on fire is Weninski. 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 9 runs scored, a scorching .405 batting average, and a .521 on base. So right now, getting the everyday opportunity for this Pittsburgh Pirate team. Prize in the baseball world right now at 20-9. So April 26th versus the Dodgers, 1 for 2 with a run and a bag. April 27th versus the Dodgers, 1 for 4 with an RBI, a stolen base. April 29th, Nationals in the doubleheader, 3 for 6, a homer, 5 RBIs, a stolen base. And April 30th at Washington, 0 for 3. So the problem here is the strikeout rate, and a guy that obviously don't put the ball in play, but power and RBIs, I definitely think Suwinski could bring fantasy owners. So right now, while he's out there, still in 56% of fantasy leagues, he's a guy to go out there and get this week. The next guy, Ezekiel Duran of the Texas Rangers. So Duran, one of the top prospects over the last few seasons in the system, and now he's been up here for this Texas Ranger team, and he's got good versatility. Second, third, and shortstop, he qualifies in fantasy baseball. So on the season here for Duran, home runs, 12 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 6 runs scored, a .310 batting average, and a .344 on base. So like I said, he's versatile, second, third, and short. Very good versatility for fantasy baseball. Guy's not going to show much power, but a guy can help you in runs scored and batting average so far, it looks like, for fantasy owners here. And he's getting the everyday opportunity of late. Here's Duran for this Texas Ranger team, and he's paying good dividends for them in the early going. April 25th at the Reds, 0 for 3 with a bag. April 26th at the Reds, 0 for 2. April 27th versus the Yankees, 2 for 4 with an RBI. April 28th versus the Yankees, 1 for 4 with a rib. April 29th versus the Yankees, 2 for 3, a homer, 2 RBIs. And April 30th versus the Yankees, 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs. So right now, if you need versatility and a guy who's going to help you in some batting average, on base percentage, and get a few stolen bases here and there, Ezekiel Duran is a good pickup this week. And like I said, he's out there in 90% of fantasy leagues. The next guy is Joey Gallo of the Minnesota Twins. So I mentioned Joey Gallo as a pickup last week, and we know what Gallo's about. On-base percentage and home runs is what he's going to bring fantasy on. And this season, some decent versatility at first and outfield. So right now in the season for Gallo, 7 home runs, 14 RBIs, 12 runs scored, a .242 batting average, and a .349 on base. So right now, so far, his batting average is great for Joey Gallo. We're usually used to him hitting 180 to the 200 range is Gallo, but we know the power is always going to be there. Even last season, where he hit only 160, he still had 19 home runs as Gallo and 350 at-bats. So right now, with Minnesota, he's one of their better power hitters, and available right now in 49% of fantasy leagues. So you know the deal with Gallo. If you need power and RBIs, he'll definitely bring it for owners. April 26th versus one of his former teams, the Yankees, 1 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs. April 27th versus the Royals, 1 for 4 with a run. April 28th versus the Royals, 1 for 3, a run. April 29th versus the Royals, 0 for 4. And April 30th versus the Royals, 0 for 2 with a run. So right now, if he could just keep the power going, as Joey Gallo, he's a solid pickup this week off the wire. Because if he goes on a little bit of a power tear, he's going to be owned in way more fantasy leagues, and it'll probably be too late for owners to pick him up this week. The next guy, Brett Baty of the New York Mets, one of the former top prospects in the system. Baty was tearing it up in AAA this season before the Mets gave him the call with 6 home runs and hitting over 400. So right now, so far on the year here for Baty, not bad, even though it's only been 30 at-bats, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, 333 batting average, and a 394 on base percentage. But right now, he has struck out 10 times in 30 at-bats. So Major League pitching is overpowering Baty a little bit so far in the early going, but he's still a guy to give an opportunity to for fantasy owners. I know fantasy owners already jumped the gun and have dropped him in 11% of fantasy leagues. Here's Brett Baty, but he's a guy to give the time to. And this Met team now, they've been rained out the last 2 ball games, even though there's a doubleheader today versus the Atlanta Braves. So he's going to get the everyday chance for the most part, besides versus lefties. I know they're paying Eduardo Escobar, but I would at least give Baty a few weeks here before I would drop him. So right now, while he's out there on the wire in 59% of fantasy leagues, I would give him an ad because he showed pop in the minors and batting average. And the Mets believe he's ready for the major leagues. There's not much left for him to do, if anything at all, in the minors. April 23rd at the Giants, 1 for 4. April 25th versus the Nats, 1 for 3. April 26th versus the Nats, 0 for 1. April 27th versus the Nats, 3 for 3 with a homer. and April 28th in that rain-shortened game 1-for-2 versus the Braves. So right now with a doubleheader coming up, and then the Mets going out to Detroit versus a pretty weak pitching staff, and then versus Cincinnati Reds. I think Brett Baty could get going, and right now, like I said, he's available in 59% of fantasy leagues. So Oney should go out there and get him this week. The next guy, Brent Rooker of the Oakland Athletics. So Brent Rooker, yes, he's not available in many fantasy leagues. He's on the borderline right now. He's only out there in 39% of leagues. So this will be the last chance for owners to go out there and get Brent Rooker, who's having a great season for a very struggling team in the Oakland Athletics. On the year, 9 home runs already, 22 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a .333 batting average, and a .451 on base. So right now, Rooker's tearing things up, especially the last 2 weeks as well, with the 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 9 runs scored, a .351 average in that time, and a .510 on base. So this guy's getting on base 50% of the time, and his numbers are out of this world right now for Brent Rooker, hitting third in this Oakland Athletic lineup. So right now, if he's out there by some chance in that small 39% of fantasy leagues, this is time to get him, because after this week, if he keeps up playing decent, he's not going to be available at all. April 25th at the Angels, 1-for-3 with a run. April 26th at the Angels, 0-for-3 with an RBI. April 27th at the Angels, 1-for-5, a homer, 3 RBIs. April 28th versus the Reds, 3-for-3, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. April 29th versus the Reds, 1-for-4. And April 30th versus the Reds again, another big game, 2-for-2, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. So right now, Rooker playing great baseball, and at least it's someone to build around possibly over there for this Oakland Athletic team. After the last few seasons, they've blown it up and traded some great ball players all around the league. So right now, Rooker, great pickup this week. The next guy, Jarrett Duran of the Boston Red Sox. So Duran, he's off to a pretty solid start, and one of the former top prospects in that Red Sox system on the season. 1 home run, 10 RBIs, 8 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, an out-of-control .409 batting average, and a .429 on base. I know right now it's only been 48 at-bats here for Duran, but a guy hitting at a .400 clip in at least 30-plus at-bats is very impressive, no doubt about it, here for Duran. So right now he's still out there, surprisingly, in tons of fantasy leagues. Here's Duran at 68%. So the last few games here for Duran, he's starting to get that everyday opportunity after he was out early in the season. April 24th at the Orioles, 0-for-4. April 25th at the Orioles, 3-for-4, a homer, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored. April 26th at the Orioles, 2-for-4. April 28th versus the Guardians, 3-for-4. April 29th versus Cleveland Guardians, again 1-for-5. And April 30th versus the Guardians, 1-for-4 with a run. So right now he's batting in the lower part, anywhere from 6th to 8th in this Red Sox lineup. And we know this Red Sox team, they need some offense. And Duran right now, he's bringing the batting average. And we know he was a high stolen base guy in the minor leagues. But last season, he did have a cup of coffee with the Red Sox, playing about 2.5 months of the season, where he struggled, 3 homers, 17 RBIs, with only a .221 average in 7 bags. But right now, while he's hitting at a high clip and he's playing every day for this Red Sox team, I would give Duran a chance. And if he struggles, you drop him back to the wire. And the final hitter I looked at off the wire this week here is Nick Swenzel of the Cincinnati Reds. So Swenzel, he's out there in tons of fantasy leagues at 98%, and a former top prospect many seasons ago for this Cincinnati Red team. But right now, he's back, and he's getting an opportunity right now, Swenzel, and he's showing some pop, and he qualifies at third in outfield for fantasy baseball. So on the season here for Swenzel, and only 54 at-bats so far, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 13 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a .260 average, and a .351 on base here. So like I said, Swenzel, a former top prospect, and he's starting to get an everyday opportunity, and we know the Cincinnati Red team can use the offense. April 24th versus Texas, 0-for-3 with an RBI. April 25th versus Texas Rangers, 3-for-4, a run, 2 RBIs. April 26th versus the Rangers, 2-for-4, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored, a stolen base. April 28th at the Athletics, 2-for-4, 3 runs, 3 RBIs. April 29th at the A's, 1-for-2. And April 30th at the A's, 2-for-4 with a homer and 2 runs scored. So right now he's starting to find the stroke. Here's Nick Swenzel, former top prospect 3 or 4 years ago. And I know the last few seasons have been a struggle. So right now, while he's off to a great start here, Swenzel, and he has a little bit versatility. I'd give him a pickup this week, and if he fizzles out in a week or two, you could just drop him back to the wire. But it's a low risk, high reward type of fantasy move, I believe. So that's a few hitters I look to add off the wire here in week 5 of the fantasy baseball season.